Yeah, and as we know, CIOs are struggling to figure out how to use AI, how to use copilots. You actually sent me over an interesting article about that, just how that this discussion is going. How are CIOs trying to figure out the value of uh, of generative AI? I think this was actually in CIO.com, an article.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good article, mostly because it backed up everything I'm hearing on the street when I talk to CIOs. I'm hearing lots of lots of grumblings. So I think there's this
Mhm.
broad conversation that needs to be had, right? The term Copilot. Kudos to Microsoft's marketing team; they nailed this term. Everybody is using it now, and
Mhm.
that's the problem, right? There are co-pilots everywhere, and a co-pilot now simply means basically a on the side sort of chat thread that I can interact with some and ask it questions, or if it has context of what I'm doing, and that's fabulous. But there's massive differentiation in flavors, right? So part of the grumblings and this article about CIO was specifically around Microsoft's offering. That people are going, is it worth $30 a user to have this productivity tool, right? Can we even measure what the productivity gain is? And can you in fact justify that? And so there's that whole conversation that's going on. But then you have this whole other sort of class of co-pilots. An organization I'm working with, this company called Symphony AI. It used to be called Symphony AI Summit, but they
Mhm.
focus on enterprise IT, and they're about to be they're doing stuff in this area, but this is all purpose built, right? It's focused in specific domains, and I think you're seeing this again. We're going to talk about Zendesk in a little while. We're seeing these in these domains where people are using specific tools that now have a data set that is captive. That Copilot is not just raw productivity, it's like focused productivity or focused assistance. And so I think I think when we talk about any of this, but co-pilots in particular, it, it's it's dangerous to simply take it and think that term means the same thing everywhere. The context and how you're applying it is going to be all important. So yeah, I think it's an interesting time, and it's one of those fun terms that just got picked up everywhere.
Yeah, and part of the challenge for Microsoft is that when they put out an app like this, they want it to be like Word or Excel or PowerPoint, one of these apps that is call it generally accessible and usable for knowledge workers. But co-pilots don't actually work like that because they have some specific capabilities around content summarization or auto completion that are useful for I believe, as the article said, talking about filling the blank page with a starting point, a first draft, or some initial code that you can use to either structure a query or structure an application. That's where copilots really shine. But at the end of the day, you have to have some sort of additional work for the employee to do. If you believe that your 40-hour-a-week employee has 50 hours of work to do, and you can off put some of that the lower level work so that they can get to that extra 10 hours of work. Copilot is an easy sell because that extra 10 hours of work at 20, 30, 50, 100, $200 an hour, whatever that number is, like that math makes sense because you automatically get to, oh, $100, $200, $1,000 of value per month. So I'm going to pay that $30. I think the real issue is that for a lot of employees right now, there is not that management does not have the faith that they have that extra 2 or 5 or 10 hours a week of work to do that needs to be saved. So the business case doesn't make itself on a general perspective. And I see that more broadly as a management problem. Are people underemployed, or are people's work under visual? Is there a lack of visibility to the type of work that people are doing, or is there a lack of strategy to how to take full advantage of people's skills? That's a much bigger challenge, but it's the challenge that Copilot actually faces. All of these generalized Copilots face as they are trying to make a more general sale. It's a future of
Yeah,
work
well,
problem.
and it goes to what we've been talking about, that it's going to become a sort of expected and almost mandated part of core apps.
Mhm.
And I wrote my first book, in fact, because of really two companies, Apple and Facebook at the time, and it was all about this idea of the consumerization of IT, that our knowledge workers would go home, they were using these products and they were amazing, intuitive, and they'd come back and we had green screens in the enterprise still, right? And
Yes.
you had this sort of rebellion of, it's like, I need better tech. This is horrible. Doesn't make any sense. And I think we're going to see a very similar thing. Now, there's an additional factor here, at least at the moment, with the high cost of processing these AI workloads. But we're going to have the same thing. I have trouble imagining how Microsoft is going to be able to continue to justify a $30 per month Copilot fee per user as all of these other tools continue to roll out AI assistants, copilots, whatever they're called, as just an embedded part of their products over time. I also think as employees go home and are using the Facebook one or using these other tools, they're going to come to work and expect it. There's going to be this pressure. Now, it's possible, I may be wrong, that the CIO gives first, but I really doubt it. In fact, I would be surprised if these conversations aren't already happening where CIOs are basically using this as a negotiating leverage to get Microsoft to throw it in. I have trouble imagining this continues to be this independent revenue model, because it's just going to become a standard way that we operate, at least in that general productivity side of it. So I think it's definitely going to be an interesting to see how that plays out, and how, where that sort of balance of power shifts. I will also say, I think, going back to the Microsoft wants us to be simple, it's confusing as heck right now. I
Mhm.
was doing some research to try to get my handle on it, and they have at least 8 or 10 branded copilots right now, with more on the way, and it's super confusing. And again, I think this is going to be one of those things where people are trying to make hay with it, but it's going to just become part of the woodwork, an important part, but it's just going to be just part of how we function. I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to take a couple of years or what, but I think we're going to see that transition happen quickly.
Yeah, it feels like Microsoft is trying to bring its enterprise licensing terms to its consumer products, and I don't think that's a good evolution. But uh, also, I struggle with the price as well. That I know I can get, call it Office for $10 a month. I can get G Suite for about $10 a month, and then telling me, oh, but you have to pay $30 a month to get to the AI stuff. And I understand that's because that's how much it costs Microsoft to provide the service, give or take. They probably have to pay literally $20 a month for all the juice and all the chips that it takes to make this work. But that doesn't justify the value for me. When I buy a new product, I remember seeing a long time ago a Harvard Business Review article about the 9x product. Basically, you have to think that you're getting 9 or 10x value on price for a new tech for it to be worth it. If you're going to charge me $30, I have to feel like I'm getting $300 a month. And I'm not sure that I buy that for a bunch of these capabilities at this point. So yeah, you can set the price wherever you want, but the uncertainty of what value I can get, it is a real question that the vendors are not solving in their marketing and messaging, and that's their job.